good looking liveries. Everybody loves them, yet somehow there is not a single custom livery comparison on YouTube. Why? Because you'd have to be fucking stupid to spend 200 euros on shit like this. But don't worry.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
So this is my current Porsche Cup livery. I made this myself a few months ago and honestly I think it's okay, but over the last 4 months something changed, cause I went from 30 to over 5,000 subscribers.
Hell yeah.
So I thought it's time to step things up with a proper professional custom livery. The problem is there are so many options at so many price levels that I had no idea what to choose. So I turned it into an experiment. I paid 4 designers almost 200 euros for a cheap, 2 mid-range ones and 1 expensive premium livery just to see what I would actually get. And let me tell you,
These people are crazy.
and just to make things even more interesting, I also made a new livery myself for free just to see how it compares. And keep watching, because at the end of this video you can actually vote for your favorite design and you will have the chance to win your own custom livery for a car of your choice. So when I started looking for designers, the first thing that showed up was Fiverr and 2 independent websites. And one of them immediately stood out, but not in a good way, because it looked way too good and professional, so I knew this shit is gonna be way too expensive. But when I checked his portfolio and actually recognized some of his liveries, like this SRS livery for example, which is
sensational,
I thought, well, fuck it, I need a livery from this man. For the other liveries, I went back to Fiverr. I checked out the 2 guys with the most amount of reviews and both of them were rated very high, cost about the same and had solid designs in their portfolios, so I felt like giving both of them a shot. And for the cheap one, I found this guy starting at just 4 euros 50 cents, which is basically what a döner costs here in Vienna, so it doesn't really get any cheaper than that. You'd probably expect something pretty bad for that price, but his portfolio actually looked decent and he had a 4.9 rating with over 40 reviews, so I went with him. On Fiverr I could choose between basic, standard and premium packages, and I went with premium on all 3, mainly because I didn't want them to hold back just because I chose the cheaper option. I wanted a cool livery. Now, this is not a competition. Looking at their portfolios, all of them are clearly capable of doing great designs. And obviously, design is very subjective. But since we're going to compare all of them, I wanted to keep things as fair as possible, so I sent everyone the same message. I'm looking for an eye-catching livery that stands out on track. You have a lot of creative freedom. I also attached some livery references to give them a general idea of what I like, and then I waited. And while I was waiting, I started working on my own livery. Up until this point, I've made about 6 liveries so far, and let's just say they are not exactly top tier, but I wanted this one to be a real step up, so I went back and looked at all of them again to see what I actually like and what I don't. The first one I did was this Mercedes style F4 livery, but I wanted to make it more unique. I thought everybody can use positivity in their life, so I added some positive words to remind myself and my surroundings to stay positive. Does it work?
I don't know.
But I really like the idea of it. I like that idea so much, I used it again on the next livery, the Porsche GT4, where I went with a classic 2-stripe layout and I made a second version of it with a light grey base combined with red and neon yellow, and for some reason I really like this color combination, so I wanted to use this for the new livery. Then I made this Porsche Cup livery. I started experimenting more with structure, using matte and glossy patterns to add some depth to an otherwise simple design. I made this right before I got promoted to C license, and that was exactly when the new Porsche Cup car got released, so I never actually used it, which is a bit sad. But I really wanted to drive this design, so I tried something similar on the Mercedes GT4, but this one turned out like a huge piece of shit. And the last one I did is this one. I wanted something that stands out a bit more, so I went with bright colors and made the whole car metallic. And to make it more interesting, I reused the design pattern from the default livery, which I think looks pretty sick as it is. So I started designing the new livery with a few things in mind. A simple style design, a grey, red and neon yellow color scheme, and some positive words to give the livery some purpose. But somehow it just didn't pop enough. CK Model Cars sent me another new car especially for this video. They already supported me when I had just half the subscribers and I'm still a small channel, so it's fair to say they believe more into me than my wife does. Which is unfortunately not a joke. So a really big thanks to Christoph and CK Model Cars for sending me the brand new XO Ford Mustang GT3. Real quick before we jump to the results, if you enjoy strange, weird videos, you might actually enjoy my channel. If so, subscribe and hit that bell because I don't think I'm capable of doing anything normal. Or skip the subscribing part and just directly transfer me as much money as you have to my bank account. If you're a child, don't ask your parents, it's okay, just transfer me the money. So thanks for the support, and now let's check out the results. Before we get to the expensive and my livery, I want to talk about these three first, because in my opinion, these three designs belong all kind of in the same category. Now, I was honestly a bit underwhelmed with these three designs. They just didn't meet my expectations. And while waiting for the expensive livery, cause, let me check. No, it's still not here. I came across an Instagram story from Jacob from JWC Design, where he talked a bit about the struggles of being a livery designer in sim racing. And one of the things he mentioned is that you simply can't charge enough money for the amount of time a cool, unique custom design actually takes. And that puts designers, especially lower priced ones, in a pretty difficult position. Because on one side, customers want something unique, detailed and eye-catching, but on the other side, there is only so much time you can realistically invest into a single design. Jacob also said that good designs come from a lot of client input, and customers who don't give designers something to work with can suck his nuts because it's beyond annoying. And although his phrasing is a little on the harsher side, there is at least some truth to that, because for this video, I am one of those annoying nutsuckers who told the designers to just do whatever they want. So that might explain why the first three liveries didn't fully meet my expectations. Who knows? However, there is still one livery left from the expensive premium designer, and maybe he's the one who can handle my silly ass order. Well, let's see if it was worth the wait. What? It's still not here? Fuck me. Okay, then let's take a look at mine in the meantime. I call this design Purpose Clementine, which, I mean, just makes sense, right? This was actually the first grey version, but once I finished it, it felt a little boring compared to all the amazing liveries I've seen so far. So I just tried swapping the base color to orange, and at first I actually didn't like it that much, but when I put it on the car and tested it in-game, I was like, for some reason you rarely Ich hasse, Englisch ist so scheiße für mich. For some reason you almost never see orange cars on the grid, so the color already stands out on its own, but combined with neon yellow and the spec map, it pops even more and makes it more unique. And although it's not a complex design, I think it looks like a proper race car. I added positive words again, but this time I made it more subtle, with black on the roof. So from far away it just looks like some texture, but if you look closer, you'll actually see the core message of the car, which I think is kinda cool. To keep the design a bit more realistic, I kept the Porsche Cup branding and the windshield banner, but I also added white elements into the design so the banner visually fits better. I also wanted to include red accents, and in the real Porsche Cup, drivers have their national flag on the B pillar, so since I'm Austrian, I used that to bring in the red and make the whole thing even more authentic. Then I added the Team Adli branding in a few different styles to actually make it part of the design instead of just slapping it on the car. I also added the letters SA, which stands for sexual assault, not just kidding, it's my initials, and the first company that ever supported me also earned their place on the car. I could have added more details here and there, but I didn't want to overdo it, and I actually like how it turned out. But since it's pretty orange, I get that this is probably not for everybody. Oh, look at that. The expensive livery just... holy
shit.
¡Fua! ¡Locura! So me waiting for this livery was actually not a joke. I mean, I understand he's probably busy and this guy is not one of his priorities, but after 18 days, I decided to let Christian know that I am waiting. He had a little illness, so nothing to do about that, and just 1.5 hours later, I finally got the finished product. And you will not believe this shit. And exactly 1 hour later, who would have thought, I received a livery for a car I ordered. But one thing you don't know about me, if you start messing with me, you will get that back. So yes, 80 euros for a livery is pretty expensive, and even if he wouldn't have been sick, you have to wait a bit to get a livery from Christian, except you're paying for the fast option. But other than that, there is not one bad thing I can say about him or his work. First of all, he did a fantastic job on the livery. It's still a bit darker than what I actually like, but this is exactly the kind of detail and structure I was hoping for. Everywhere you look, there is something going on. Different textures, patterns, little details, but it never feels too busy or over-designed. The whole thing feels very intentional and well thought out, like an actual motorsport livery. Now, I don't know if he understood my taste because of the references I sent, or if this is just his style, but now imagine giving someone like him very specific ideas and directions to work with. The result would be even crazier. Also, this dude is a professional. He replied fast, was super friendly, and clearly cared about the result. And honestly, to me, this matters a lot. Because yes, I'm a little princess when it comes to customer experience. And even with this high price and long waiting, this felt worth it. If you like any of these liveries, I uploaded all of them on Trading Paint so you can download them for free. The link is down below. A few weeks ago when I asked you guys what you want as a giveaway, a new Porsche or my used socks, I was actually surprised how close that vote was. Unfortunately, I already sold the socks to some pervert for a lot of money, and when I called Porsche to ask if they would provide a GT3 for a giveaway, they said no. So instead you can now win your own custom livery. If you want to win it, just comment which one of these 5 designs is your favorite, and if you want to take part in the official vote as well, go to my channel, check out my latest post and vote there. And just to be clear, you do not have to vote for my design, vote for whatever you like the most. And I also want to quickly explain what Team Ugly actually is. As I said, this channel is growing pretty fast and I don't know where this whole YouTube thing is actually going, but I enjoy making these videos, and the fact that you guys seem to enjoy them too gives this whole thing a lot more meaning. So I wanted to build a small community around it. That's why I created a Discord server called Team Ugly, where we can just hang out, talk about projects and maybe build something together over time. Everyone is welcome. And I also created an iRacing team for people who maybe are not pros but still want to participate in team events or just be a part of a team without feeling any type of pressure. So if that sounds interesting to you, I would be happy if you join the Discord server. Also, let me know what you think about this video in the comments. It's a bit different than my last ones, so I'm curious how you like it, and please send me money for food. I'm hungry.